I lived with Paramahansa Yogananda for the last 3.5 years of his life. I'm living with him still. And what I bring is not the person nor the message so much as the spirit. Because he came with a spirit that it's been exemplified in so many ways. I'm going to tell you a little story that exemplifies it beautifully, but very simply. And that's what he was like. He was very simple. One time, a skeptic in India said to him, "Someday all you renunciates will be very disappointed when you wake up and discover that there is no God." Yogananda, with a big smile, said, "Well, you may be right, but at least we'll have the satisfaction of knowing that we've done some good." I thought it was so beautiful that with a simple answer like that, he could turn the heavy atheism of our day, and the heavy skepticism, and all the attitudes that drag men down into a feeling of hopelessness, and suddenly give them a reason to enjoy, to hope. That's what his life did. He gave me and countless others reason to hope. Now, I was educated, as I think most of us here were, in the, you might almost say, the hopelessness of our day and age. It isn't hopeless, but so much of the hope is based on new discoveries. So much of the predictions of the future are about someday we'll be able to do this, someday we'll be able to do that, we'll be able to go to Mars and go across the galaxy and who knows what else. But it doesn't satisfy the heart. There's a book called Looking Backward by Edward Bellamy. It was written about 1890, and he projected a time 100 years in the future, and this hero of the story somehow fell into a trance and woke up in 100 years and found himself 100 years later with all the blessings of modern civilization. And I remember one particular passage. It must be a poignant one for many people, because I've read it quoted elsewhere too, where he turns on a knob in a box in his living room, and music comes into the room from some central place in the city, something unheard of in 1890. And his comment is that I cannot imagine a greater felicity than being able to bring beautiful music into my home. We all can do that. Are we felicitous? Are we really happy? I don't think so. Back in 1949, I read an article. This is looking backward. I didn't read it then, but it was in Popular Science Monthly, I believe, in which the editorial said that someday, predicting a marvelous but almost unbelievable future, computers will weigh as little as 1 ton. 1979, I think it was, the president of IBM predicted that it will never be possible to have computers in the home. Well, I can tell you I have mine in the home. It's just something we've learned to live with and can hardly live without. It is yet not giving us happiness. It isn't giving us fulfillment. We can do so many things, and yet we don't find fulfillment. And you know, if you were to go to some other planet and you see programs on the radio, science fiction stories, you read science fiction stories, and you sort of imagine, and I suppose people have the idea now when they read about the possibility of other planets that maybe people had back in the days when America was discovered and people began traveling around the world, Vasco da Gama and others. And there was always probably in people's mind the dream that they would come upon some simple civilization, the noble savage as Rousseau depicted him, where people would live idyllic lives, happy, fulfilled, close to nature, no problems. Have we found such a life? No. Are we likely to if we go to another planet? Listen, the problem is that wherever There are beings, there are going to be egos. Wherever there's ego, there's going to be selfishness. Wherever there's selfishness, you've got the same mess of worms that you've got here. It won't be that different. You don't find perfection by going into the beauties of nature. Why? Because you're there. It's just as simple as that. I remember 1945. I'd had it with America. I decided I needed to get away among simple people. So I went to Mexico, and I thought, there I'm going to find simple people. Well, the problem was, I don't know how simple they were, but I could have the same stomach aches, the same headaches, the same moods in Mexico as I could in Scarsdale or Philadelphia or wherever else. The problem with it all was that I was there. And there was this girl, when I came back, I was at Brown University, and the movie had just come out, The Razor's Edge. I don't know how many of you saw it. It's an oldie now, but so am I an oldie. Never mind. And this girl at the coffee table in the college where we were said, oh, I would just love to go to India and get lost. Well, I'd just come from Mexico. I laughed. I said, whom would you lose? Certainly not yourself. That's the only thing you really want to lose. Well, this civilization has not given us what it's been promising us. It's been promising us felicity, heaven, paradise. You don't have it, do you? Why are you here tonight? Because there's something you're missing. You want something more. And the trouble with this world is that no matter what it is, there's always something more. There was a survey made of people in different income brackets, all the way from, well, in those days, $3,000, $5,000 a year was not so bad, up to $100,000, which was a lot in those days. And they asked everybody, are you happy with what you've got? Everybody said, virtually, this is an average response, but pretty much it encapsulates the response of all of them. We would be happy if we had 10% more. That 10% more represents something you'll never get. It's like a carrot on the end of a stick. And you keep straining after that carrot like a donkey, pulling a load of worries behind you, never reaching the carrot, but somehow that load of worries gets pulled, and so the donkey's owner feels satisfied.